by my house.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. You better be.
But over here at this, like,
Oh, that water there? I gotta get the
Did you see that? Would it just be issued? I don't know where it was at. Some assistant mayor said, we're not going to do this budget meeting. Citizens. Okay. That's good.
So what is that? Where was that? That was right here.
No, I got a daughter died.
Mr. Mayor, it's time.
I got you.
I'd like to call this special meeting to order at 5:30. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Donald Hewitt,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tempore Margaret Morales.
Present.
Councilmember Mitch Lindemann.
Here.
Councilmember Daniel Acosta.
Present.
Councilmember Ray Shelton.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Baldenegger.
Present.
Councilmember Jose Grijalva.
Here.
Interim City Manager, City Treasurer Luis Pedrosa.
Present.
City Attorney Nick Cook. Mr. Cook.
He's on mute.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Mr. Cook.
Can you hear?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Item number 4, persons wishing to address the council in writing or verbally on any item not on the agenda. Ms. Andrade?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any public participation requests.
Thank you very much. Item number 5, discussion decision on approval of fire and police public safety retirement board appointments of council members Margaret Morales and Michael Baldenegger respectively, effective July 1, 2021. Just wanted to clarify something on this particular item. I know back in August we authorized the city manager position to be on these two boards. However, in order to be more inclusive and give the council an opportunity to serve, I would like the council's approval for the appointments as chairpersons on these boards respectively. May I have a motion?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Lindemann.
I move to approve the appointments of council members Mr. Morales and Mr. Baldenegger.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lindemann and second by Mr. Grijalva to approve the appointments of council members Margaret Morales and Michael Baldenegro to the Fire and Police Public Safety Retirement Boards, respectively. Any discussion? I'd like to thank...
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Please.
since we're appointing two members of the council to board, if we should have sufficient numbers so that they're not voting, so that there's no potential conflict between them voting for themselves for appointments to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. We'll do that. We have sufficient numbers to be able to still handle this agenda item. Thank you for that conservative view. I don't see the conflict, but you're the man. So I appreciate you bringing that up to keep us on the right track. Anything else? Ms. Andrade, would you please...
No, not for me.
Roll call minus these two members.
Councilmember Lindemann.
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta.
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Motion carries, and thank you very much. I'll present you with this certificate of appointment. If I may. Are we taking pictures, Julia? He's not here, so we're good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Picture, Mayor?
Yeah, let's go down front. Margarita. Con el ojo.
Wink at the cat.
We don't wear our pouches.
Thank you.
From afar.
Let's see, are you on the right side? Yeah, you're on the right side. Just turn your face. Thank you.
You want a picture because you can extend it?
Item number 6, discussion decision on approval of second reading of ordinance number 21-1133, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, to undertake a minor departmental reorganization affecting leisure services and public works departments, and amending the following ordinances: number 631, 673, 728, 848, 04-871, 09-954, 13-1027, 18-1086, 19-1103, and 19-1108, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mrs. Pedrosa, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is the second reading for the reorganization that we brought forth at the beginning of this month. So this is going to affect two departments, Public Works and Leisure Services. The main reason for this request is because we have two positions that have been hard to fill. So we're trying to find solutions to that. So the first one would be for Leisure Services. We have the Recreation and Aquatic Supervisor, where we're trying to split that position. It's been hard to find someone that has both recreation and aquatics. So what we're going to do, instead of having a regular aquatic supervisor, we are proposing to have an aquatics coordinator and a recreation coordinator, both at a lower range than what the supervisor was, because it is splitting that position, but being able to focus on those specific areas and finding someone that has those focuses as well. So that's the first component. And for Leisure Services, we're actually requesting to change the name to Parks and Recreation for the whole department, just so that it's easier for people to identify, what areas we're talking about. Because sometimes when they hear Leisure Services, they don't necessarily know, what we're referring to. So because of that, we're also going to have to change the name for the Leisure Services Manager to Parks and Recreation Manager. It's just a title change. Nothing else in her job description will change. And as far as Public Works, the other position that has been hard to fill has been the Public Works Director / City Engineer. So the City Engineer is the component that we've been missing. It's really hard to compete with the private industry. We have been close a couple of times, but we just can't compete. They left because or they haven't continued because they're getting paid more money somewhere else, and it's been really hard. So what we're trying to do is instead remove the engineer component, leave still the Public Works Director position, but remove the city engineer. And that component is going to be contracted out as needed, and depending on the type of service that is required. So that's going from a range 37, and because we are removing the engineer requirement, that is going to go a little bit lower to a range 35, so to compensate for that. For Public Works also, we're going to reclassify a Take 1 position, so range 14, to an Equipment Operator 2 for the Streets Division. So this change will continue to provide backup to the Take 4, but also being able to operate equipment in the streets project. So this will require an LCDL for that position to be able to operate, whatever equipment is needed for the projects that they're working on. We are also requesting to change, to add 3 equipment operator positions in the streets division. We currently have budgeted 4 labor positions, so from those we want to change 3 of those to just be equipment operator 1s, and that requires them to have a CDL as well. So as a laborer, they don't have to, but as equipment operator 1s, they will have to. They will have about 6 months to obtain their CDL if they don't have it once they apply. And that is a higher range, from range 13 to a range 14, from laborer to equipment operator 1. And we are trying to also just eliminate one of the equipment operator 1 positions, 3 of the equipment operator 1 positions in sanitation, just because with the automation that we now have, it's not needed to have that second person on each of the routes. No one is in those positions, so we're not getting anyone out of their job. It's just eliminating positions that have been vacant for a while since we did the automated pickup. And those are all the changes that we have for these people.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion regarding the second reading?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Shelton.
I move that the mayor and council approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1133 and to place it on third reading by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton and second by Mr. Baldenegger to approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1133 by number and title only, and to place it on third reading by number and title only also. Any discussion?
Mayor, I just have one question.
Please, Mr. Lindemann.
Mr. Garcia, do you know when or where they would hold CDL classes?
They have some classes in Tucson that they,
It's always
in Tucson that they do. We're trying to get Cochise College to have some classes for CDL, so that, not sure if that went through, but before COVID, they were talking about getting some classes here down to the college.
That'd be a lot more convenient. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Baldenegger.
Mr. Leyland, didn't the city of Douglas, the public schools, didn't they have a commercial drivers program there for the bus drivers?
I don't know if they have that anymore.
Because that's where we can send our city employees.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can follow up on that.
Yeah, let me check on that.
Thank you.
And to clarify, there are no classes needed, but of course it's great if they have that training, because they can go straight to taking the written exam and then the driving test after that, without classes, but of course it's good to have that training.
Thank you. Mr. Shelton.
This has been included in the budget?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, fine. Make sure.
Thank you. Any other questions?
There's no fiscal impact. Did you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's net. Any changes that we're making, if it's affecting one position that is getting more, then the other one is kind of compensating for that increase. As you saw from the assistant aquatic supervisor, that one would be going up, but because we're lowering the Oregon aquatic supervisor to a rec coordinator, it's going to compensate. So it's going to be a net effect, nothing that we need to increase the budget for.
Thank you for that clarification. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldenegger?
Yes.
Councilmember Ricardo?
Yes.
Mayor Potente Morales?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, to undertake a minor departmental reorganization affecting mutual services and public works departments and amending the following ordinances: number 631, 673, 728, 848, 04-871, 09-954, 13-1027, 18-1086, 19-1103, and 19-1108, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, discussion decision on approval of second reading of ordinance number 21-1134, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, reassigning duties of the design review board to the Board of Adjustments and removing the design review board from the Douglas Municipal Code by amending ordinance number 352, 659, 702, 04-862, 14-1034, and 20-1127 as to Article 11 of the zoning regulations and amending ordinance number 703 and 04-862 as to Article 16 of the zoning regulations, establishing severability of components of the ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Gardner, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is a request to follow up on the elimination of the design review board, which was a board with a very limited scope, whose entire purpose was to hear appeals of staff interpretations of the design guidelines in the historic district. Staff feels that these powers can be adequately handled by the Board of Adjustment, as they would already hear other appeals of zoning regulation interpretations from staff. There was a question last time as to why this would be assigned to the Board of Adjustments rather than the Planning Commission. And just to answer those for the whole council, the Planning Commission hears subjective changes to land use, to rezonings, to whether something like A recreational marijuana facility is appropriate at a particular location, whereas the Board of Adjustment already hears appeals. If staff decides the zoning regulations mean a particular thing, it would be adjudicated. If there's a dispute, it would be adjudicated by the Board of Adjustments. In this case, we would simply add, if staff feels that the design review guidelines say particular things and there's a dispute, it would be adjudicated by the same board. There was also a little concern because the other power of the Board of Adjustments, which is to grant variances to the zoning regulations, is handled under very strict state law that 4 specific criteria must be met, and there was concern that that would have to be met in this case as well. Again, that's not the case. Only variances have to be handled that way. Appeals are handled in a quasi-judicial manner where there's a dispute again between staff interpretation and a citizen interpretation. So staff feels this is the appropriate body to hear those for the design review guidelines as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. May I have a motion regarding the second reading?
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Morales.
I move that mayor and council approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1134 and to place it on third reading by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mr. Lindeman, to approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1134 and to place it on third reading by number and title only. Any questions or comments?
Mayor?
Mr. Lindeman, please.
I just wanted to commend Mr. Gardner for putting a lot of thought and effort into this, and I think that it's going to fly really well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindeman. Anyone else? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann,
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldenegger,
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales,
Yes.
and Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries.
In honors of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, reassigning duties of the Design Review Board to the Board of Adjustments and removing the Design Review Board from the Douglas Municipal Code by amending ordinance number 352, 659, 702, 04-862, 14-1034, and 20-1127 as to Article 11 of the zoning regulations, and amending ordinance number 703 and 04-862 as to Article 16 of the zoning regulations, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. Item number 8, discussion decision on approval of contract renewal with Educational Services, Inc., ESI. Ms. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We currently have a contract with Educational Service Inc. It expires at the end of this month. So this contract or this staffing agreement provides a phased retirement program where retirees are able to get hired back through ESI and placed back into their positions with the city. So the benefit to the city is that we have an immediate savings due to a lower hiring salary while still being able to utilize the retirees' expertise. We only do this usually for those hard-to-fill positions, again, or specialized, not for everything. So currently we do have only one person under this program, and we're asking to renew this agreement for 1 more year. We wanted to do a longer period of time, however, their procurement agreement that they have with Mojave ends in June 2022, so we can only go up to that month. And then after that, we'll come back maybe with a longer agreement if Mayor and Council agree to that.
Thank you. We have a motion regarding this contract renewal.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Shelton.
I move the mayor and council approve the contract renewal with Educational Services Incorporated, ESI.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shelton, second by Mrs. Acosta, to approve the contract renewal with Educational Services, Inc., ESI. Any questions or discussion?
I know that
Yes, Mr. Shelton.
school districts do this, and they save a lot of money, and teachers can come back, and other employees can come back, and if anybody, it's a win-win situation for the employee, a win-win situation for the city of Douglas or the Douglas Unified School District, or whatever school this is, I think, really great. Number one, if somebody wants to keep working in whatever job they have and can get a retirement and can get a lower salary when they take this, I think it's a really good deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Mr. Lindeman, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The other side of the coin, of course, is that you're taking a position that maybe should go to a younger generation. And I don't believe the school does that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. And
They can't.
that's really a shame that they don't.
Well, that's the argument. You know, there are two sides.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, one more comment.
Yes, Mr.
After
Shelton.
you do this a year, you can come back. It's only for 1 year. You can come back and you can take a lesser salary and the school district or the city can pay you. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. It's just for 1 year. And I know that Douglas has lost a couple of really good teachers and they went somewhere else. And how many good teachers are out there, or whether they be young, old, or medium? That's what I have to say about that.
And right, we don't focus on their age.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know, so one really good teacher wanted to do that. They said no, so they moved.
Mr. Shelton, I'm going to slow you down because we're getting a little bit off track on,
That's okay.
on our agenda item, but
That's
I appreciate
okay.
it.
I'm just telling you.
Mr. Shelton will hold a press conference immediately after the meeting to express his views on the item. Thank you. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann,
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Definitely yes.
Councilmember Baldenegger,
Yes.
Councilmember Ricardo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales,
Yes.
and Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 9, discussion decision on approval of workers' compensation and liability insurance contract renewal for fiscal year 2021-2022. Mrs. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a current contract with Travelers for both workers' compensation and risk liability insurance. This one, of course, also ends June 30th of this year. So we're trying to get the renewal approved for the coming year, for the coming fiscal year. Our risk liability brokers did a lot of negotiation. Our workers' comp amount did remain the same or even a little bit lower for that. But for our liability insurance, it did go up. And, you know, I'm being told, of course, that just like any insurance, because of disasters that have been going on around the nation, either fires or natural, items that are happening, it's going up for everybody. So we did see an increase on liability insurance. Last year, we did compare ourselves to the risk pool. The amount that we're being quoted right now through Travelers is still a little lower than we got last year. But we're going to do this again next year. We're actually going to include pool and some other agencies that our brokers have come to find that are doing a lot of municipalities for coverage. So this is, right now, it is for this year. We want to keep it Travelers.
Thank you. May I have a motion regarding the contract renewals? Yes, Mrs. Acosta.
I move that Mayor and Council approve contract renewal for Travelers for workers' compensation and for liability insurance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Acosta, second by Mr. Baldenegger to approve contract renewals with Travelers for workers' compensation and for liability insurance. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Ricardo,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldenegger,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Lindemann,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales,
Yes.
and Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10 was removed yesterday morning at 9:30 a.m. regarding the appointment of city manager and approval of a contract. Just wanted to give you a brief update on what's going on. We received yesterday morning a somewhat formal withdrawal from the process from Mr. Barkley. And we fortunately have not closed that position because we wanted to make sure we had somebody on board before we did that. So the position still remains open. In fact, we received 2 more applicants this past. We probably received 4 or so, right, Rocio, since we first started interviewing. And so those have been received. We'll continue to do that. Mrs. Perosa has updated our postings to make sure they're still active and accurate, and which they are. So we'll do that, and we'll come start reviewing them as soon as we feel we have some candidates that we'd like to consider. And then we'll come back in front of you all with this governing body to discuss where we go from here. But the job is still open, ready to go. And speaking of Mr. Pedrosa, he's still committed to helping us out on an interim basis to make sure that we continue our progressions, of which I thank him very, very much. Thank you. Before we end, I just wanted another reminder of a Thanksgiving celebration for the Carmelite sisters at Loretto School that will be leaving this year. It's this Sunday between 4 and 8 p.m. I know I've seen it on many social media, or I've been told it's on many social media sites. There'll be a mass held at 4 p.m. and these dear sisters have been very much involved in our community and taught a lot of you here in this room, and also many of you that are listening and watching at home. So we'll miss them. But if you want to pay your respects for that, we also we're going to do a little bit of a motorcade through the city, partially if you want to line up there and wave to them and show your appreciation to them for their dedicated service to the students of Douglas. Item number 11, adjournment. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Morales.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mrs. Costa to adjourn this meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We stand adjourned at 5:58 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cook, for your help.